The heat was strong that day. The sun hung heavy over the alien colony, and the market was full of noise creatures yelling, machines beeping, vendors shouting for customers. But suddenly, everything stopped. The sound faded, heads turned, noses wrinkled. A terrible stench had spread across the market like rotting garbage mixed with smoke. One by one, shoppers moved away, covering their faces, whispering in disgust. That's when Raylan, the only human in this colony, smelled it too. He was a soldier, off duty and walking through the market to buy supplies. He had seen many strange things since leaving Earth, but this smell made even him cough. What is that? He asked a nearby alien vendor. The vendor shook his head quickly. Don't go near it, human. Cursed thing. Filthy, not worth your breath. Raylan's eyebrows pulled together. He was trained to ignore fear and go toward danger, not away from it. He followed the smell. At the edge of the market, near a dirty wall, he saw her. She was small, curled up in a ball, covered in layers of black grime. Her long white hair was tangled and full of mud. Her skin was dark gray, cracked like dry clay, and covered in flies. But what really hit Raylan was her eyes. They were wide, glowing faintly under the dirt, and full of something worse than fear, hopelessness. Like she had already given up. A metal collar was tight around her neck, and a thin chain kept her locked to a post. A half-eaten piece of fruit lay beside her, already rotting. Everyone around her walked by like she didn't exist. A group of young aliens passed her and laughed. Look at the dirt girl, one said. Why is she still alive? She's not even a real being. They should have thrown her in the waste pit. Raylan clenched his fists. He couldn't understand how people could treat someone like this. Even if she was alien, even if she smelled bad, she was still alive. Still someone. He stepped closer. Don't, another voice warned. An older alien woman tugged her scarf over her mouth. Don't touch her. The sickness might pass too. That's why no one goes near her. Raylan looked back at the girl. She didn't even move. She just kept staring at the dirt like she didn't care anymore. A sudden breeze blew, and her smell hit him again. Yes, it was awful. But underneath it, he saw blood on her ankle, dried. She had been hurt. His mind made a decision before his body did. He walked forward, kneeled down, and gently touched her shoulder. Gasps rose from the crowd. Human, no. Someone cried, but Raylan ignored them. He pulled out his water flask and opened the cap. Hey, he said softly. Can you hear me? The girl flinched. Her eyes moved, slowly lifting to meet his. She tried to speak but coughed. Her throat was too dry. He brought the flask to her lips and poured a little water into her mouth. She drank it like she hadn't tasted water in days. Raylan slowly unhooked the metal collar. It was too tight. It had cut into her neck. He winced at the sight. When he picked her up, she was light, too light. Her bones felt fragile. She didn't resist. Her head dropped against his chest, her body shivering from weakness. The crowd only watched in silence. A large alien merchant stepped forward. She's nothing human. You don't want her. Even her kind left her here. That thing is broken. Raylan looked at the merchant coldly. Then it's good she's mine now. He carried her through the stunned market. Some laughed. Others whispered. A few looked away in shame. Raylan didn't care. He had seen people die in war, but this was something worse. This was what happened when people stopped seeing others as people. He reached his small shelter near the colony wall. It wasn't much, just one room, a wash area, and a bed, but it was clean. It was safe. He placed her gently on the bed and pulled off the filthy blanket that was wrapped around her. He stared at her a moment. She was young, maybe just a teenager by human years. How long had she been treated like trash? He turned on the water heater. The old pipes groaned, but hot water started to flow. He looked back at her, then whispered, Let's get you clean. Asterisk. At first, she screamed the moment warm water touched her skin. The alien girl jerked awake and screamed not in words, but in a raw, broken sound that shook Raylan to the core. Her hands slapped the walls. Her body twisted like she thought she was under attack. Raylan stepped back, hands raised. Hey, easy, you're safe. It's just water, a shower, you're not in danger. But she didn't understand. She crouched in the shower corner, shaking, her wet hair sticking to her face. The water ran down her body, black with layers of dirt, grease, and dried blood. Steam filled the small room. Raylan sighed. He turned the water down to a gentle trickle. She stopped moving. She looked at him, breathing fast. Her eyes were wide and unsure, like a wild animal trapped in a cage, but she wasn't trying to run. Not anymore. The heat calmed her. Raylan slowly stepped forward and picked up a soft sponge. He dipped it in the water and moved it near her arm. Can I help? He asked, gently. She didn't speak. She only stared at the sponge, then at his face. After a long silence, she gave the smallest nod. Carefully, he touched her arm and began to clean. The grime came off in layers, revealing soft, pale violet skin underneath, smooth, glowing faintly under the light. Faint scars lined her shoulder. Her ribs were too sharp, like she hadn't eaten in weeks. Raylan stayed quiet as he worked, scrubbing gently, respectful. Every now and then, she would flinch, and he would pause, waiting for her nod again. The stink slowly left her skin, replaced by the soft scent of the soap. She looked different now. Not like trash, not like a thing. She looked like a person. A girl, a fragile life someone had nearly destroyed. Raylan handed her a clean towel. Here, he said, dry off. I'll wait outside. He stepped out and closed the door behind him. His heart was heavy. He didn't even know her name yet. Minutes passed. He heard nothing from inside. Just the soft drip of water. Finally, the door creaked open. She stood there in one of his shirts, way too big for her, her hair damp and messy, but clean. Her skin now showed faint glowing marks across her collarbone, natural patterns, maybe part of her species. She looked different. No, she looked seen for the first time. Raylan smiled gently. Feel better? She nodded once. Then very softly she said her first words. Why, help me. Her voice was rough, unused. Her eyes were serious. Raylan sat down on the small bed and thought for a second. Because you didn't deserve what they did to you, he said. She stepped closer. Her fingers touched the edge of the bed, unsure. Not like you, she said slowly. I am broken, trash, dirty. Raylan shook his head. That's what they told you. It's not true. She looked down, silent. What's your name? He asked. She hesitated, then whispered, Velia. Velia, Raylan repeated with a nod. I'm Raylan. She tilted her head. You, human? Yeah, he smiled. Is that a problem? She gave a weak shake of her head. Human, strange. You touched me. No one ever touched. Raylan looked at her seriously. Well, maybe it's time someone did. She sat down slowly on the floor, folding her legs under her. Her eyes wandered around the room's simple furniture, a cracked mirror, a small light on the table. It was poor, but to her, it seemed like a palace. Raylan handed her a small food bar and a cup of clean water. She sniffed it, then began to eat slowly, carefully, as if it might vanish any second. You don't have to be afraid now, he said. No one's going to hurt you here. But Velia didn't reply. She stared at the door. Then whispered something strange. They'll come for me. Raylan frowned. Who? She didn't answer. Her hands tightened around the food. I ran, she said. I escaped. They want me back. Raylan leaned forward. Who wants you back? She looked up. For a second, her eyes shone bright blue-like. They had caught a bolt of lightning. Then she said one word that chilled him. Hunters. The room fell silent. Raylan looked toward the door, suddenly alert. Velia lay down, curling into the corner, as if her body remembered pain even in comfort. Raylan stood, walked to the door, and locked it. He didn't know what she was yet. But he knew one thing for sure. Someone had thrown her away like garbage. But now, she belonged to him. That night, Raylan couldn't sleep. He sat in the corner of the room, a small energy lamp glowing beside him. The girl Velia was curled up on his bed, hugging the pillow like it was a shield. Even in her sleep, she trembled. Raylan kept watching. Not because he didn't trust her, but because he was afraid. Someone else would come to take her. He didn't know what she meant by hunters. He didn't know why her eyes glowed blue. He didn't even know what species she was. But he knew fear when he saw it, and Velia was full of it. The wind outside howled against the walls. A storm was coming. Suddenly, Velia sat up. Her breathing was fast, her eyes wide. She looked around like she had woken from a nightmare. Raylan stood up slowly. "Hey, it's okay. You're safe." She didn't move. Instead, she reached out and pointed at the window. "They're here," she said. Raylan froze. "Who?" Velia didn't answer right away. Her hands shook. Her skin shimmered with faint pulses of blue light, like waves under her skin. Then she whispered, "They smell me." Raylan walked to the window and peeked through the cover. The colony streets outside were empty. The night was quiet. Too quiet, he turned back to her. "No one's there. You're safe." Velia hugged her knees. "They don't make sound. They come from the dark. And if they find me, I disappear." Raylan sat beside her on the floor. "You said they want you back." "Why?" She looked at him, and for a moment, her voice became stronger. "I was made," she said. "Not born, not like you." Raylan blinked. "Made?" Velia nodded slowly. "I came from a lab. A tank. A cold place where they mix blood and machines." Raylan's eyes narrowed. "A clone?" She shook her head. "Not clone, not machine. Something else. They made me to fight, to test things. I was their toy." Raylan felt cold. He had heard rumors about alien syndicates creating living weapons, illegal biotech, hybrid children grown in tanks and trained to kill. But to see one sitting before him trembling, small, afraid, that was different. "I ran away," she said. "They said I was too soft, a failure. So they left me in the streets. I tried to hide, but the smell," her face twisted. "My body, it leaks when I'm scared. They follow the scent." Raylan remembered the stench at the market. It wasn't just dirt, it was part of her biology, a reaction. "A warning. Why didn't you say anything before?" he asked. Velia looked down. "No one listens to trash." He sighed and stood up. "You're not trash. You're not a toy. And I'm listening now." She looked up at him with wide eyes, as if trying to decide whether to believe him. Then something strange happened. A soft hum came from her chest. Her skin glowed again, brighter this time. Raylan stepped back, alarmed. "Are you okay?" he asked. Velia held her chest, her body shaking. "It's happening." "I tried to stop it, but now," Raylan grabbed a blanket. "Lie down, you're burning up." But Velia stood instead. And then her feet left the ground. She floated. Just a few inches, like the air was holding her. Her hair moved, even though there was no wind. Raylan stared, stunned. "What are you?" he whispered. Velia blinked, and her voice became soft and sad. "I don't know." Then she collapsed. Raylan rushed forward, catching her before she hit the floor. Her body was hot, but the glow was fading. She was asleep again, or unconscious. He couldn't tell. Raylan laid her on the bed and covered her gently. He looked at her peaceful face and clenched his jaw. Who would do this to someone? Who would create a living being just to throw them away? Whoever these hunters were, they were going to regret ever letting her go. The wind outside had stopped. Raylan didn't notice it at first. He was too busy checking Valia's pulse, wiping the sweat from her glowing skin. Her body was hot, like something inside her was burning. Then he felt it. Stillness. No breeze. No sounds. Not even the buzzing of power lines outside. He stood slowly and walked to the window. The sky wasn't dark anymore. It was glowing red, not from the sun, but from the underbellies of 3 black ships floating silently above the colony, Raylan's. Blood turned cold. They weren't government ships. They had no markings, no lights. Just cold metal, shaped like blades, slicing through the night sky. And they made no sound. Raylan whispered to himself, "They found her." He rushed to lock the front door. Then he ran to the back and covered the small window with thick cloth. He turned off every light. The room went dim, the only glow coming from Valia's skin. She stirred. Her lips moved. Barely a whisper. "They're here." Raylan knelt beside her. "You need to stay quiet. Stay down." She opened her eyes. "You should give me to them." "Run." He shook his head. "Not happening." "You don't understand," she said. "They don't just take, they erase." Raylan stood and grabbed his pulse gun from the shelf. It was old but charged. He checked the hallway clear. Valia tried to sit up but winced. "I can't fight," she said. "You won't have to," Raylan answered. Outside, the streets were still empty. Then came the sound of boots, but not heavy ones. Soft, synchronized steps, too soft for normal soldiers. These were trained shadows, no talking, no scanning. Just movement, like wolves circling prey. Raylan's heart raced. He leaned against the door and listened. One step, then another. Closer, a small mechanical sound clicked, then stopped. Raylan opened a hidden compartment in the wall and helped Valia crawl inside. It was a maintenance crawl space, small and dark, but enough to hide her. "Stay in here," he whispered. "Don't make a sound, no matter what happens." She looked at him, eyes shining with fear. "You'll die." He gave her a small smile. "Not today." He shut the panel and turned to face the door. Outside, silence. Bang! The front door slammed open. 2 tall figures stepped inside. Not soldiers. They wore thin black suits that moved like liquid, almost alive. Their faces were covered in smooth masks, no eyes, no mouth. Raylan raised his weapon. "This is private property." The taller figure tilted its head. "You are in possession of stolen material," it said. The voice was not human. Cold. Synthetic. "Release the target and no harm will come to you." Raylan aimed at its chest. "She's not material. She's a person." The second figure took a step forward. "You are interfering with private reclamation. Step aside." Raylan didn't move. "Let me ask you something," he said. "You always hunt half-dead girls at night? Or is that just your style?" The first hunter tilted its head again, almost like it was curious. "You were warned." Then it raised a small device. Raylan fired first. A blue bolt hit the hunter's chest and sent it crashing into the wall. Sparks flew. The second hunter jumped forward with inhuman speed. Raylan rolled behind a table as the creature's blade arm slashed down. It was fast, too fast. But Raylan had fought worse. He kicked over the table and slammed his fist into a control switch. The emergency lights burst on. Blinding white filled the room. The hunter paused just for a second. Raylan took the shot. A pulse hit the back of its mask and knocked it down. Smoke filled the room. Raylan ran to the wall panel and opened it. "Now!" he yelled. Valia crawled out, eyes wide. "You killed them?" she asked. Raylan looked back. One of the hunters was already moving again. "No," he said, "but I bought us time." He grabbed her hand and pulled her through the back door. They ran into the alley, then ducked into the old sewage tunnels beneath the colony. Water dripped from the walls. Rats scurried away. Valia gasped for breath. Her legs were weak. Raylan carried her again. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I should have never come to your world. Raylan looked down at her. You didn't choose this. They did. You just wanted to live. Above them, the red glow of the ships was fading, but Raylan knew they'd be back, and next time they wouldn't ask nicely. It started with a soft hum. Raylan didn't hear it at first, not with the sound of dripping water, not with his own heartbeat pounding in his ears, but then he felt it in the air. A quiet vibration, like the whole tunnel was breathing. He looked down at Velia, still in his arms. Her eyes were closed. Her skin was glowing again, but this time brighter, like a small sun trapped inside her chest. Her body burned like fire. Velia, he said, shaking her gently. Hey, stay with me. Her eyes fluttered open, and this time, they weren't just glowing. They were pure light, a bright, electric blue that cut through the darkness of the tunnel. Raylan stumbled and set her down. She dropped to her knees, holding her head, her fingers twitching. It's too much, she whispered. I can't hold it anymore. Raylan knelt beside her. Hold what? She looked up at him, and for the first time, her voice was not afraid. It was full of something deeper. Pain, rage, and power. You want to know what I am? She said. I'll show you. Her hands lifted. The walls around them began to shake. A low, vibrating sound rolled through the stone. Cracks formed in the ceiling. Lights above flickered. Then light exploded from her chest. Not fire. Not electricity. Something older, stranger. A kind of living energy, like the essence of a storm trapped in a fragile body. Raylan covered his eyes, then blinked as the light dimmed again. Velia was still on the ground, breathing hard. I didn't ask for this, she said. I didn't want it. Raylan stared at her, stunned. What did they do to you? She leaned against the tunnel wall. They mixed me. Alien DNA, human nerves, and something ancient. Something they found in a ruin. They called it the seed, a living spark. A weapon? Raylan asked. She shook her head slowly. A key. A key to what? She looked up at him. To a door that should never be opened. Raylan felt a chill run down his back. Why you? They thought I was empty. They needed a vessel. So they made me hollow. Her voice cracked at the word. Hollow. Raylan moved closer slowly. You're not hollow, he said. You're full of life. I've seen it. You care. You cry. You're more human than they are. Velia laughed weakly. You don't know what I've done. Then tell me. She paused, staring into the shadows of the tunnel. I broke their lab, she said. I didn't mean to. One day I got scared. Something inside me woke up, and I exploded. Raylan's eyes widened. You destroyed it? Everything, she whispered. The walls, the machines, the people. He looked at her in silence. I didn't want to, she said. But after that, they knew I wasn't just a test. I was dangerous. Raylan reached out and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. You were just a child, he said. They used you. That's not your fault. Velia's hands trembled. I still hear them scream. Raylan sat beside her on the cold floor. You said you were a key, he said. What happens if they catch you again? She didn't answer right away. Then she looked at him and said something that chilled his soul. They don't want to capture me, Raylan. They want to open me. A long silence passed. Then Raylan stood up and held out his hand. Then we won't let them. Velia took his hand slowly. Her touch was warm, now no longer cold and afraid. They started walking. Again, deeper into the tunnels. But far behind them, back in the colony, the hunters were already moving again. Their ships rose into the sky and began to scan. They had seen the light. They had felt the pulse of power. They knew the girl wasn't just alive. She was awakening. They found shelter in an old tunnel maintenance room, small, cold, full of broken machines and rusted tools. Raylan pushed the heavy metal door shut behind them and slid a crate in front of it. Velia collapsed on a dusty mattress in the corner. Her skin was dim now, the glow was gone. She looked empty, not weak, but drained. Like a star that had burned too hot too fast. Raylan sat beside her and checked his wrist device. Power, 23%. Ammo, 2 charges left. Oxygen level, dropping. They were running out of everything. He stared at the cracked ceiling, then at her. We can't stay here. They'll find us. Velia didn't speak. Her body trembled. Her voice came out quiet. I burned. Too much. I can't hold it again. Raylan leaned forward. Then we escape now, before they trap us underground. She looked at him with tired eyes. Where? He opened a dusty map on his wrist screen and pointed. Sector 9, the abandoned launch yard. There's an old smuggler ship still there. If we reach it, we can fly off this rock. Velia's eyes widened slightly. That place is locked down, fenced, guarded. Raylan nodded. I used to sneak in when I was younger. There's a forgotten passage under the west wall. It's risky, but it's our only shot. A long silence. Then she whispered, I trust you. Raylan helped her up. She leaned on him, barely able to walk. He carried her again. As they moved through the tunnels, the air got colder. Lights flickered. A distant vibration started to hum through the ground. They're tracking you, Raylan muttered. They can feel your energy. Velia's hands clutched his shirt. Then I need to stay quiet inside. No glow, no noise. They reached the tunnel, split, one path to the colony, the other toward the abandoned launch yard. Raylan turned right, but before they could take more than 5 steps, a shadow dropped in front of them. Hunter. This one was different, taller, thinner, wrapped in long black fabric like a ghost. Its mask had no face at all, just smooth metal. Raylan backed away. How did it get here so fast? Velia whispered. That's not a hunter. Raylan looked at her. Then what is it? She shook her head. That's the keeper. The one who made me. The figure raised a hand and spoke directly into Raylan's mind. You've touched what was not meant for you, human. Raylan flinched. His nose bled from the voice. She belongs to the vault. Return her, and I may spare your mind. Raylan stepped forward, aiming his weapon with one hand and shielding Velia with the other. She's not yours. The figure moved faster than anything Raylan had ever seen. His weapon flew from his hand, crashing into the wall. Velia screamed. Her body glowed again, but weakly. Raylan stood tall. He threw himself between the keeper and her. No, she cried. You'll die. Raylan's fists clenched. Run, Velia. She did in single quotes t. Instead, her body pulsed with a slow heartbeat of energy, deep blue light glowing from inside her chest. I won't lose him, she said. Then something changed. The light around her began to shift. Not just energy, but shapes. Symbols, circles of ancient alien language floated in the air. The keeper froze. No, it said. She's waking it. She doesn't know what she's doing. But Velia did now. A memory had returned, painful, hidden, buried deep. They had not just made her to destroy, they had made her to unlock something. And they feared it. She stepped forward, light swirling around her like a storm. You tried to keep me asleep, she said. But I remember now. The keeper reached out, but the moment its fingers touched her light, it screamed. The shadow was burned away, and the tunnel was silent again. Velia dropped to her knees. Raylan rushed forward, catching her before she fell. Her body was cold. Her eyes rolled back. I'm okay, she whispered. But we need to go. I can't stop them next time. Raylan nodded, holding her close. We get to that ship, he said, whatever it takes. And in the dark behind them, deeper in the tunnels, more footsteps began to echo. The stars above Sector 9 were still. No blinking lights. No patrol ships. No alarms. Just the silent remains of a launch yard left to rot. Rust covered the old fences. Half-buried ships sat under moonlight like dead animals. Most had no power. Number. Fuel. No future. But Raylan was betting on one. He helped Velia limp through the metal gate, one arm around his shoulder. Her body was faintly glowing again, but not like before. Not dangerous. Not wild-controlled. Gentle, like a lantern in the dark. Her eyes were calm, but her lips trembled. "They're coming, Raylan." He looked back. The tunnel behind them was empty, but not for long. "I know," he said. "We just need one ship, just one." They reached an old smuggler cruiser at the far end of the yard. Its name was faded, but Raylan recognized the shape. He had flown one before. He opened the hatch. The power was dead, of course, but Raylan moved. Fast. He pulled open the floor panel, reached under the core bay, and hit the emergency ignition with the flat of his hand. Nothing. "Come on," he muttered. "Don't die on me now." Velia placed her hand on the ship's wall. "Let me try," she said. Raylan backed away. "What are you doing?" She closed her eyes. Her light flowed from her palm. Into the metal. The ship responded. One by one, the systems blinked awake. Engines hummed. Lights flickered. Control panels glowed. Raylan stepped back inside and stared in awe. "You powered it?" Velia nodded, her voice soft. "I'm not just a key, Raylan. I'm a core." He didn't fully understand what that meant, but he knew it saved them. He rushed to the pilot's seat. "Strap in, we're leaving." But just as the engines roared, the sky above them tore open. 3 hunter ships dropped from low orbit. No warning, just death. Falling like knives, one ship fired a warning blast that exploded. Near the launch pad. The ground shook. "We're out of time." Raylan yelled. Velia stood at the center of the ship, glowing now with rising power. "Not out of fear but purpose. I can protect us," she said. Raylan looked back at her. "You'll burn out." She smiled gently. "I'd rather burn free than live chained." She placed her hands on the ship's walls again, and this time, the glow wasn't soft. It lit up the sky. The ship lifted fast, almost weightless, and shot into the stars. The hunter ships chased them. 3 black arrows in the night. Raylan flew fast, dodging bursts of plasma fire. Velia stood with her eyes closed, guiding the ship's shields with her mind. Her body shook, but her voice remained strong. "I'm not their weapon anymore." Raylan looked at her, sweat dripping from his brow. "You never were," he said. "You're a miracle." They broke atmosphere. Stars exploded across the windshield. The hunter ships followed until Velia raised one hand. A pulse of pure energy shot out from the ship's rear, silent, like light itself. It hit the 3 hunters and froze them mid-space. Engines died. Their ships turned to drifting ash. Raylan stared. I stopped them," she whispered. "I didn't kill. I just ended the chase." Then she fell to her knees. Raylan jumped from the pilot's seat and caught her. Her eyes were dim now, but peaceful. "You did it," he said. "You saved us." She smiled weakly. "No, you saved me first." He held her close as the ship cruised into deep space, stars passing quietly around them. Later, when she slept, Raylan recorded a message. Everyone called her dirty. Everyone said she was trash. But the truth is, she wasn't just clean. She was rare. And only someone who looked past the grime could see the light inside.